Okay, this is for Meg and James. It's the beginning section, starting with Demetrius and Hermia's conversation. And James, you start with, "Oh, why rebuke him that loves you so? Lay breath so bitter on your bitter foe." Just like I was coaching Sam and Annabelle, this needs to feel to the audience very commanding at first. You need to command the stage as you walk on, and it needs to feel like the two of you are already in the middle of a discussion. So we're jumping into the middle of it. So, oh, why rebuke him that loves you so? Lay breath so bitter on your bitter foe. He's complaining. Why are you doing this to me? Why? How can you say these things and make me an enemy? Because I'm in love with you. So Hermia says, oh, now I but chide, and I think the emphasis needs to be now, because it's like right now I'm just scolding you, right? So, but I should, second emphasis on that line, I should use the worse. For thou, I fear, hast given me cause to curse. If thou hast slain Lysander in his sleep, being o'ershoes in blood, plunge in the deep and kill me too. So this is with great conviction. She's saying, because you're in love with me, you have very good motive to have killed my love, Lysander. I woke up, he was gone, and now I'm putting it together that it could have been you. So if you have done this, you might as well kill me too. And then she says, would he have stolen away from sleeping Hermia? Like, why would he have left? We were just in bed together. And it cannot be. And this is where she kind of becomes convicted that it is him. Okay, so at first it's like suspicion when she's saying, for thou, kind of figuring it out, for thou, I fear, has given me cause to curse. If thou hast slain Lysander in his sleep, being o'ershoes in blood, plunge in the deep and kill me too. Would he have stolen away from sleeping Hermia? It cannot be, but thou hast murdered him. So should a murderer look, so dead, so grim. So those last two lines of that section is she's now convinced herself real quickly. She's like putting it all together. So it's like there's a calculation going on that we need to see in your eyes and in your head, kind of in the intonation. So then he responds, so should the murderer look, and so should I. Pierce through the heart with your stern cruelty. Yet you, the murderer, look as bright and clear as yonder Venus in her glimmering sphere. So, James, this is sort of like you're the one who has murdered. You have murdered my heart, is what you're saying here. So it's a little bit of it's kind of a sadness, and there is some sincerity in it and in the emotions. I really liked the beginning of how you delivered it the first time I saw it, but I will say that right now you've got sort of this Shakespearean, almost British accent thing going on, and it's good, but either the four of you need to choose to all do that, or you need to back yours off, because it sort of makes you look like which thing doesn't belong here. It's like the three of them are acting pretty straight English, and not necessarily doing anything with their intonation and their wording and their phrasing that makes it sound like high English. So in this section, it's important that you enunciate the words and slow it down a little bit. And if you're going to keep that sort of British high Shakespearean feel, then you need to back it off a little bit, and they probably all need to add a little bit of that in. So we can talk about that. You guys can talk about that together when you get together on Sunday. So this section, so should the murderer look, and so should I, pierce through the heart with your stern cruelty. Yet you, and he can't, it's like, and here you are murdering my heart, and I can't help but notice that you are as bright and clear as yonder Venus in her glimmering sphere. So this needs to be very genuine. If this goes over the top, it'll go cheesy and it'll feel amateur in that moment. So it needs to be great eye contact and kind of a, I can't help myself. Even in this moment when you are hurting me, you look beautiful because you are my love, and I can only compare you to a star in the sky. And then, and she's still, okay, now the next lines, she's still on this. What's this to my Lysander? What have you done with him? Where is he? And then she says, and she's realized she's facing this man who's in love with her. And she's like, good Demetrius. Like, she's got maybe a little bit of compassion here. That's kind of how I'm feeling it. Doesn't have to be played that way. We could just you could almost play it like exasperated if you wanted. So I think your options here, try it a couple different ways, but your options here are either frustration and exasperation for this line, where it would be more like, what's this to my Lysander? Where is he? Good Demetrius, wilt thou give him me? Like, you're upset with him, you're pleading with him, like, good Demetrius. Like, you're genuine, you're right here in front of me, I know you're in love with me, but you have taken my love, give him back. So that would be the exasperated way to do it. The other option is to be like, to kind of play to his genuineness and genuinely say, what's this to my Lysander? Where is he? What have you done with him? If you haven't murdered him, then where is he? And what's going on? And then, good Demetrius, now appealing to him, wilt thou give him to me? Please find him for me. And Demetrius, you're not having any of it. And so you have a couple options right here. You can say, I had rather give his carcass to my hounds. And it's a very, I will not find him for you because I truly cannot give you that, knowing what my heart is. I could never encourage you to do that. And it's very genuine and very straight. To me, that feels like the right thing. I guess you could try a couple different things. Another option is a real quick answer. I had rather give his carcass to my hounds. Like, I'm not doing that, that kind of thing. You can play with it. Maybe you have a couple of ideas. You need to try a couple different things. And then she just loses it, right? And by the way, out dog, out cur. A cur, from my understanding, is sort of like, I don't know if you guys know what an English wolfhound is, but it was sort of a breed. It was bred to protect the moors, the English countryside, and the farms and the sheep pastures. And it was sort of like inbred wolf and different. It's not a specific breed. It literally is like a mutt that's trained to chase wolves and protect sheep. And they're usually very ugly and very vicious. And so, so just so you know, that's kind of what cur means. So she's saying out dog. Not only that, out cur, which is like not even a purebred dog or a dog we'd have as a pet. This is a dog that's bred with a wild creature to be ugly and fierce and vicious, almost like monster-like. Think of, what's that Jane Austen deal where they have the wolfhounds? I don't know. Anyway, so out dog, out cur, thou drivest me past the bounds of maiden's patience. Hast thou slain him then? And hast thou killed him sleeping? Oh, brave touch. So there needs to be a sort of a pace about this line that starts angry and harsh, and then it starts to speed up through this section because she's losing her patience and she's losing the control that she has on herself. And then the big, strong statement at the end is, how dare you? Oh, brave touch. I can't believe you've done this. So, out dog, out cur, Thou hast driven me past the bounds of maiden's patience. Hast thou slain him then? And hast thou killed him sleeping? Oh, brave touch. So there's like this pace about that line that is like she's kind of losing control and it's building, and then she gets control of herself again, but it's still very intense and direct. Oh, brave touch. If you have done this, and I'm convinced that you have, you will pay for it. Okay? And then he responds, you spend your passion on a misprized mood. I am not guilty of Lysander's blood, nor is he dead, for aught that I can tell. So either you're just like kind of confused and like I have no idea what you're talking about. You can see that she's convinced. I absolutely did not kill him, and I don't even think he's dead. Okay? Or the other thing you could play, which if you played it correctly and with the right timing and intonation, you could get a little bit of the comedy into this line by saying, nor is he dead, for aught that I can tell, like you wish he were. So that's kind of your options there. Play with those options. And I know you guys, the sun is going to be, Grandma's driving now. We were stopped, but it's going to be in and out of my face. Just try to ignore that, and we'll keep going here to the end of this section. So you spend your passion on a misprized mood. I am not guilty of Lysander's blood, nor is he dead, for aught that I can tell. Or, I am not guilty of Lysander's blood, nor is he dead, for aught that I can tell. I wish he were, kind of thing, okay? And then this is a pleading, but it's you're pushing him emotionally, okay? So, I pray thee, tell me then that he is well. So, if you don't think he's dead, you must have seen him, or you must know that he's okay, and you're just not being honest with me. Okay, so I pray thee, okay then, spit it out, tell me then that he is well. Let me know, okay? So this is going to get interesting.
Turn right to merge onto I-75 North toward Chattanooga.
Okay, so I don't know if Mr. Lane gave you any specifics on the interpretation of this next section, but to me, from what I'm understanding from the text, when he goes to, and if I could, what should I get there for?
For 66 miles,
I-75
North.
And he's going to use this to his benefit, which is what leads her to the response of, yeah, you're not going to get a thing out of this. A privilege to see me no more. Like, that's what you're going to get. And from my hated presence part I so. See me no more, whether he be dead or no. So, you're obviously not going to help me here. You say you love me, but you're not doing what's best for me. And so, forget it. You'll get nothing from me but the privilege to see me never again. And so I'm leaving, and you can never see me again, and I'll figure it out on my own. Okay? So, the one thing I noticed about this section when you guys did it is, Meg, you need to go back into the text and pick a couple parts to slow down, because your pace, your memorization was excellent and your flow is really good with the language, but the pace was so fast and consistently fast that it wasn't creating any kind of emotional dynamics. So I want to see you go just you, because you're very strategic and you think through what your choices are ahead of time, because they're not necessarily just like emotively instinctive, like real fast like that, which is very much how I am. I break down and choose ahead of time what the emotion needs to be for those sections, and I take a section and I just mark my script with a couple of high points or a couple of circles that say this is where I want the emotional emphasis to be. You need to pick a couple of those times in here, and there's not a ton of comedy in this section. It's really more just intensity. It's what starts out the scene and sets the scene for us. And so it's important that you command the presence and stay in the emotion of the frustration, the exasperation, and the pleading with him, and the anger with him. but you need to slow it down. Even anger can be slow, because it can be, I am so angry that I am trying to keep a lid on this. And so I am over controlling how I feel and how I speak. So that's kind of a little bit, that should help you. That way, when you speed up, we get this feeling like she's going to lose control. She's going to lose control. Oh, she's caught it again. She's keeping her control so that she can get what she wants out of the situation. Wait, she's going to lose control. She's going to lose control, and it speeds up. Stop. I will control this again because I need to get what I want. And what you want is not just a vent. You're not looking here. Your objective here is not just to let go of your emotions and explode on him. You have an objective, and it's to get your love back, because you woke up and he was gone. And so in order to do that, you've got all this bottled up emotion, and it's running with you and running inside you, and it's bubbling over. But then you make these realizations, and in these moments through this section where I better calm down and control myself, or I'm not going to get what I want, and I need this person to help me do that, and I've got to get past his obsession with me to do that. So that's kind of a lot of stuff that's going on underneath. James, in this section, it's important that you understand that that you have a sincere love. You play comedy Shakespeare so well when it comes to the swagger, but I think in this section you shouldn't quite release all of that swagger yet. So it needs to be a little bit more. You could have a little bit of that, but it needs to kind of just be a little bit more of like a mannerism that would be characteristic of who you are, but not the tone of this section. The tone of this section needs to be more genuine and more hurt, truly hurt, that you're pleading with her, why are you doing this to me? My love is true. I have pure intentions on you. I am totally, completely, and anyway, why would someone who had the chance to stay in bed with you get up and leave? And why would I have anything to do with that? Because that's idiocy, kind of. So there's all those undertones sort of in between the lines. So so when you come in, this isn't a really great line to start this scene, to be honest with you. I get that we have to jump in somewhere, and it's hard because this scene has so much from beginning to end that you can almost, you almost want to use every single line in this whole scene, but because of time, I know you guys had to cut and jump in somewhere. But it's not necessarily on its own a real strong line. So you're going to have to do some things as you guys walk in physically to make it strong and to command. And in order to do that, I love, it's really important with Shakespeare that you give these verbal expressions by stretching out certain words and what we call affectations, where we use our voice to verbally sigh or to groan or to complain or to be exasperated. It's really good to use those in Shakespeare because, for one, it brings an incredibly human, realistic device to your acting and makes it very real and relatable. You can communicate so much emotion on just the word "oh," which is your first word coming in, is literally just one letter. You can communicate so much emotion through that by drawing it out and using, making it a little bit melodic and a groan. And that is a wonderful way. I don't know if you remember, and I don't know if I ever did this with Meg, but when I was coaching at Kids Quest, you're starting with actors, both adults and kids and teenagers who've never acted before. And one of the big things that I taught them as a basic was that it's really important to cue your audience and draw attention to yourself as an actor when you're on stage. And for Shakespeare, this is just double the case. They would have had to in their context, and he's written for that context, for that type of stage, for the raked stage, for the Globe, for the I'm blanking out, the gallery where all the poor class would stand. And it's in order, and because they had no sound projection or anything like that, they would have had to use these kinds of acting devices to draw attention to themselves. And what it is you're using the beginning of certain lines to go, now watch me, or now listen, or hey, I'm about to speak and say something important, but you can't just say that, and you can't just have some big pause or gesture to grab their attention. So you use these devices to do it. So things like, why rebuke him that loves you so? That's a wonderful way to start, because it's starting the judges and the audience with a ton of emotion right off the bat. It's showing professionalism, because most teenagers don't think to do those things. They typically just deliver the language straight, and they are only interpreting sort of the first level of what the language says. This is going to a deeper level that shows that right away, which is going to get, be like, oh, as a judge, when you come on stage, instead of going, oh, why rebuke him that loves you so, and making a later word the emphasis, by you walking on stage and using oh to be completely exasperated, I am immediately engaged. I'm thinking, whoa, that was a great choice. I'm totally waiting for what you're about to say, because I'm already experiencing emotion before you even say it. So you can deliver, why rebuke him that loves you so? Play breath so bitter on your bitter foe. Why are you doing this to me? Just go ahead and, you're making me your enemy. So, okay, and then jumping down, James, to your, she's saying, it cannot be, but thou hast murdered him. So should the murderer look. She's accusing you. And so should I. Like, you're talking about being murdered here. You're talking about me murdering someone else. You have just murdered me because of what you've done to my heart. So should the murderer look. And so should I. Pierce through the heart with your stern cruelty. There needs to be some authenticity about that, okay? Yet you, the murderer, so there needs to be a beat around murderer, parentheses. Yet you, the murderer, you're the one who's murdered here. And then it's a relinquishing. Look as bright, as clear as yonder Venus in her glimmering sphere. I can't help it, but you are beautiful, even though you've just slain me, okay? Okay, so I think I've given you that. James, let's see. Just take the line, and if I could, what should I get there for? Make sure that you really, you need to play that up and start to manipulate and charm her, make that a real come on, and you're going to have to move closer to her. I'm not sure what your blocking is there. We can go over that on Sunday. And then your last line, which I never got to. There is no following her in this fierce vein. Here, therefore, for a while, I will remain. Big sigh. I loved how you got sleepy during this line, but as you did, I lost the diction and I lost the projection. So you need to work on creating a sleepiness, communicating that, yawning in there, wherever you're going to do that, while still maintaining good projection and good diction, because this closes out this section of the scene. Okay, so I think that's good for that section.